Good morning everyone. Hope you all are fine at home. Today we are going to discuss our exercise 6.5 quadratic functions. So here we will discuss about in this exercise two parts. First part is how to draw the graph of the quadratic function, and second part is how to identify the sign of the quadratic functions. So that you have to deal basically with these two things. First, we will discuss about graph of the quadratic functions. So before that, you must know that what is quadratic functions. And algebraic expressions of the form ex squared plus bx plus c is called a quadratic function of x. Why we call it quadratic function of x? Because this is a quadratic equation of the form of x. So basically now if you are going to draw the graph of the quadratic function, so fx is equal to ex squared plus bx plus c. So this function shows that x is my independent value, and when I apply the x value in this quadratic equation, I got the fx value, that is my dependent value, as y. So basically graph of the quadratic function consider as my parabola. So this we call it upward parabola or concave parabola, and this we call it downward parabola. And here turning point, so this point call it turning point, that is if your curve is like upward, and this point we call it minimum turning point, because after that this minimum point curve start increasing. And here if you saw this curve, after certain point, that is maximum point, because the here curve is increasing, when it reaches turning point or maximum point, it start downward, that means decreasing. So that's why this call it maximum point and this call it minimum point of this decreasing curve. After that it will start increasing. So why we call it this as parabola? Why quadratic equation always draw in the form of parabola? Reason is that in my parabola, like in this 2D plane, so this represent as my upward parabola and this curve represent as my downward parabola, and this will be represent as x square is equal to 4ay. That means here x square will be there, okay, and here y value, that is lies on this y-axis, okay. So there should not be a square of y and there is square of x. So that means if only x is there, no point is company with this, that means turning point here x square plus 4ay is 0, 0. And here in the downward parabola, that is x square is equal to minus 4ay, because that deal with negative of y value. So these are the two forms, because x square represent as my quadratic equation and another side represent as my y, that is my equation form. Here x square is equal to minus 4ay. That's why quadratic equation represent in the parabola form, because we dealing with the x square form. So always it will be either upward or downward depending upon the a value. If your a value is positive, like coefficient of x square is positive, then definitely it will be upward parabola. But if my e value is negative, so that means definitely it will be my downward parabola. Then the graph of quadratic function is parabola. Now there will be two cases arises. One case will be either if a is greater than 0 and either if a is less than 0. But already we study about the root of the quadratic equation. Either it will be real or distinct, equal or complex roots. So in both the cases, whether e value is positive and e value is negative, we will deal with three types of roots. What happen if e is greater than 0 with real, equal or complex roots, where they will lie in my graph. And if e is less than 0, so real, equal and complex root, where it will lie on my graph. And before that, first we have to try to find if you have any quadratic equation is given, how you will find the turning point of that quadratic equation. So this and this, maximum and minimum point, depend upon the your coordinate will be same, but depend upon the E condition, so it will be shows as minimum or maximum point. First is, if you have any quadratic equation is given, so how you will find the turning point of this one. So first we try to make as proper form, like I show you before that. Here in this form, like x square is equal to 4ay form. So I have an equation y is equal to ax square plus bx plus c. So basically my equation was fx is equal to ax square plus bx plus c. So that was my basic equation. So if my y is equal to ax square plus bx plus c. So if you want to find the vertex of any quadratic equation, so first thing you shift the constant term on the other side with y. Here c is my constant, I shift it here. After that ax square plus bx is left. So before making a perfect square, there should not be any term multiply with the x square. So we take a common, so what is left inside the bracket? X square plus b by a x. So when I compare my this equation with a square plus 2ab plus b square to make it a perfect square. So I want to make it a perfect square. So what I will do? First, in place of a there is x. Here also in place of a is x. So 2, if I just write as 2 it here, so that means it will also be 2 it here to make it balance with b by ax. So that means my b term will be considered as b by 2a. So that will be considered my b by 2a. That means that I need to add it here, b by 2a whole square, to make a perfect square, because we have to compare with a square plus 2ab plus b square. Now what you will do next? So if I add something in my right side to balance the equation, same term will be added on my left side. So what I will do? But according to me, in this bracket, I add b square by 4a square. That is b by 2a square. But a was outside. When you take outside the bracket, so it will be considered as b by 2a whole square a. That means whatever term multiply with outside, because it will be automatically multiply with this term. So when automatically this term will be multiplied, because when you open the bracket here, so this will be ax square plus bx and this will be a b by 2a whole square. That means that term is added. So same term we have to add my left side. So that will be b by 2a square into a to balance the term. Okay, so now if we take the LCM of this, it will gives me y plus b square minus 4ac by 4a, and here I convert this into perfect square, x plus b by 2a whole square. Now after that what I will do? So I have this perfect square x square form and this is single y form. So I just separate this term, make it equal to 0 to identify the y value. That will be minus b square minus 4ac. That is exactly my discriminant of the quadratic equation. So instead of writing again and again b square minus 4ac, I will just write in place of this d, because this is my discriminant value. That means y value is minus d by 4a. And if I go with inside, no need to consider square, x plus b by 2a is equal to 0, that x is equal to minus b by 2a. That means my turning point of any parabola, whether it is upward, whether it is downward, will be minus b by 2a minus d by 4a. So whatever b value in my quadratic equation and whatever a value in my quadratic equation, minus b by 2a, if we apply the ab value here, this give me my x value, and if we apply discriminant value and a value here, that give me y coordinates. That is the turning point. That is the same point where your curve will be have three condition arises. Three condition means either you have real or distinct root, that means your discriminant is greater than 0, your discriminant is equal to 0, or your discriminant is less than 0. So how you will identify the values in this case? So here turning point. Turning point we already found, minus b by 2a minus d by 4a. So here if a is greater than 0, so two cases arises. One is a is greater than 0. Second is a is less than 0. First I will discuss with a is greater than 0. So in this a is greater than 0, so that means if my discriminant is greater than 0, so that means I have real or distinct root. That means there will be a alpha, beta, my two roots. Then how you will find the roots in my that equation? So in that case, whatever your quadratic equation is given to you, so what you will do, first you make it x is y part is equal to 0, then you will got two values of x, so that is considered as alpha and beta. That will exactly is a x-intercept cut on the x-axis, and this turning point is same as my b by 2a minus d by 4a. Either if you have quadratic equation is given, you make a perfect square like previously I have done, you find the vertex point in that case also, or you can directly pick the value b by 2a comma minus d by 4a, apply it here, so that will also give you the vertex of that quadratic equation. That is a turning point of quadratic equation. So in this, real roots alpha and beta will be there, and here your point. So this is your minimum point, because curve is upward, because a is greater than 0. If a is greater than 0 means x square, coefficient of x square is positive, always it will be a upward curve, and if it is negative, it will be a downward curve. If your discriminant is greater than 0, that means minimum point will be at x minus b by 2a, and minimum value, that is a second value, minimum value, that means how much distance from the x-axis, so that will be minus d by 4a, that is exactly your y value. Okay, but if what happen, if your e is negative in your quadratic equation, there will be no change in the turning point, formula will be same, minus b by 2a minus d by 4a. Then there will be also 2 points alpha and beta, there are real roots, because same way you have to find, like you have to mark y is equal to 0 and you find the x value. And here also minus b by 2a minus d by 4a is your turning point, and alpha beta are the two distinct points cut on the x-axis. Next is what happen if your discriminant is equal to 0. If your discriminant is equal to 0, that means your curve, whether it is upward or whether it is downward, it will touch exactly on the x-axis, because there is no y value is there, because if discriminant part is 0, no y value will be there, and that means only one single root will be there, that is alpha here, that is minus b by 2a, that you have to find. Here also minus b by 2a. So why I am writing this formula, because you have to find the vertex either directly applying this minus b by 2a, or you can go with the perfect square method to find the values that we will discuss in further questions. Okay, so here this is the formula to find the x value, and this is formula to find the y value, that is minimum or maximum point according to the a value. So if you have quadratic equation is given, you find the value of abc, directly apply ba value here, so that gives you your x value, and discriminate upon 4a, discriminate value applied here, that gives you y value. Easily you can find the vertex, that is turning point of the curve in this case. So if your discriminant is 0, that means there is no y value, only one root is there, that you have to mark according to the a complex root. If it is a complex root, it will not touch the x-axis. If a is greater than 0, so it will lies above the x-axis. If a is less than 0, so it will lies downward the x-axis, below the x-axis, or but your turning point will be same, formula is there, minus b by 2a minus d by 4a, so that is your turning point formula. So according to the value, it will come automatically positive or negative according to the rule. Then minus b by 2a minus d by 4a. So here your minimum value in both the cases, here minimum value, it will be a maximum value because curve is downward, so that is minus b by 2a, and here minimum value will be your y value, and this first part will be considered as your coordinate as point, and this is your value minus d by 4a. Similarly